Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Guys in Black. Today we're going to be talking about all the natural disasters and some man-made disasters that have happened so far in 2025. Been a pretty crazy year. It's only been 10 days, but already, so much has happened around the world. So we wanted to first discuss and, tell you guys what's going on in the world, and also maybe, touch upon a few reasons on why it's happening. So, Ibi, why don't you tell us first, what's going on in the world, and then I'll obviously, add on to, and we can discuss why it's happening.
So the recent one that's happening right now, which everyone's talking about, is the wildfire, which have sort of taken LA and sort of destroyed a lot of lives, and
Right.
there's a lot of destruction which is happening. I think some thousands of acres of land has gotten destroyed because of that. So that's the one. Before that, recently we saw a massive Tibet earthquake which happened.
Nepal also, I think there's been earthquakes in Nepal, Tibet. Yeah.
So that happened. That's this year. Then recently we saw there was flooding which happened across the world in the countries in Europe. We saw in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, Medina, Jeddah. Then it's basically all over the place. We've had flooding, we've had earthquakes, we've had cyclones, we've had
Wildfires. Yeah.
And then obviously we have this virus which is sort of looming and it's out there. So it's almost literally everything that one can think of we're sort of facing at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that all the elements of life, like air, water, earth, and fire,
Even space, now that you mentioned,
Yeah.
interestingly, so I was reading somewhere that there was an incident of space debris falling somewhere in some village in Kenya. So that's happening. There are instances of increased solar flares in recent times. So even space, so literally all five elements of nature and earth, like literally everything has happened.
Yeah. No, I think it's a crazy year so far. Like I said, only 10 days in, and already so much has happened, so much to cover. So we're going to get into some of the reasons of why we feel that this is happening. I think everyone talks about climate change and what exactly climate change is and how is it affecting all these things. And so I think one of the things that everybody knows, it's kind of common knowledge, that climate change is obviously a heating of the planet, right?
Yeah.
So, but how does that really affect all these things happening, like all these disasters happening around the world? What's your take? Why do you think it's happening?
Multiple reasons, like the basic one being deforestation, then overpopulation, then the way we are sort of a lack of water conservation,
Burning of fossil fuels.
So literally everything. I mean, it's not something that which has happened recently. It's like the compounding effect of all the man-made sort of activities that has been happening over decades, probably throughout the century, which is now sort of coming over and taking over the whole space. Like literally from what started as a probably industrialization has taken such a massive toll that now we are sort of like disturbing the natural ecosystem which is supposed to be there. So it had to come. Probably it's like, as they keep on saying, it's like the nature's way of sort of setting the reset button.
Right.
So probably
that's what they said. I think with COVID as well, right?
Yeah.
What happened with COVID, I think they just kind of said that. So I think every few years, what you're trying to say is that nature also kind of fights back.
Yeah.
And kind of clears the air. But definitely. I think some of the reasons are what Evie had just said. But definitely, there are also there are seismic activities happening. The Earth's crust. There is obviously atmospheric changes that happen, which also cause some of these disasters. But yeah, interestingly, when you come down to sort of India, right? What are some of the things that we should discuss about which are sort of a problem over here?
So earthquake, obviously I won't, we are sitting in Delhi right now. Delhi is, I think, a grade 4.
It is very earthquake prone.
It's grade 4 earthquake prone area, so we can't really do much about it. But what about the air pollution? Obviously we understand that every time winter comes, there is a rise in the air quality, in terms of the deterioration of air quality. Some people will say farmers burning the stubble, some people will say it's cars, some people will say it's the construction work which is happening. But what we need to realize is it's not just one thing, it's the compounding of the entire thing. As simple as what we were discussing just before we started shooting, was that we know when it's winter, everybody is comfortable having a guard out there, but probably not comfortable providing them with the wind cheater or probably something like
to warm them up in the winter.
So eventually what are they doing? They're burning up whatever they're getting. They're burning plastic, they're burning paper, they're burning wood, which is right now in Delhi it becomes sort of impossible to breathe outside post 8 p.m. when actually all these guards they start burning their bonfire for the night. So basic stuff like that. If as they say, charity begins at home. We first need to look within ourselves. Okay, we're trying to shift towards EV. That's one step. But construction is bound to happen because development requires that kind of construction. So that's also there. But whatever little bit we can do, I think we should do at our level so that we can sort of stop it. At the end, it's for ourselves only, yaar. I mean, who are we complaining to if it's
Do you
that
think
way?
do you think festivals make it worse? Like some of the festivals that cause like air pollution, like do you think that makes it worse? Because it's always like an sort of argument between it's like an emotional argument, and then it's something
Yeah.
that it's common sense. What's your quick take on it?
So I mean, as they say, everything in moderation is fine. Now I know that let's take Diwali for example. I mean, I never fired crackers, but obviously, if somebody enjoys it, I will not stop them if they are doing it probably in moderation because they want to sort of firstly, like the earlier parents, they would want to sort of give that kind of cultural sort of context to their own kids and the future generation. But that's all fine, provided you do it in moderation. Like let's say if you divide it, let's say you decide that okay, 2 hours we'll burn crackers, and in that also
Yeah, but that has to come through government regulation,
government
right? I think
regulation,
people
yeah.
in general will not be able to have that kind of control
Right.
themselves, right? So I
What's
think
happening right now, it's more like a revenge mentality that, oh, why are only our festivals, being targeted? So earlier, if somebody was doing it, let's say for 4 hours, now he'll do it for 10 hours because so who's going to stop it?
yeah, I think a good point on moderation. I think if something is done for a few hours,
Yeah.
I mean you can kind of meet in the middle of having that emotional sentiment and keeping people's sentiments in mind,
Yeah.
where they get to celebrate a festival. But then also, I think keep in moderation the fact that they're not really causing a lot of air pollution
Right.
while bursting all these crackers for a while, right? So yeah, like absolutely, I think something that we've discussed is on that note.
Right.
So yeah, just to conclude, today that.
We saw a lot
We
happening.
saw a lot happening like so far in the last sort of 10 days, and something to keep sort of an eye on.
And
We'll
probably to
obviously,
question ourselves as well that is it
Yeah.
really just the nature or is it us?
yeah, is it man-made or is it
Yeah.
this thing? But yeah, I think we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this. We'll be continuing to keep a watch out, plus also discussing on this channel on what's going on. So again, thank you for tuning in once again, and we'll be back. Again tomorrow with another set of topics. Hopefully something more positive this time around.
Yeah.
But again, do leave us feedback. It always helps us, bring out better content for you guys. And thank you once again, and see you.